This is another in the First Read series where I read a poem for first reading through without having read it before, without really knowing the poet or at all or a little bit, and just kind of have that first experience of poetry to see whether I like this person's work, whether I want to explore it some more, and kind of go from there. This one is from Belt, D.A. Hosek, so who I don't know. No reason I kind of picked this is because it's from Belt, which is, deals with the Rust Belt. And because it's a Chicago sonnet, and I'm, located in the Chicagoland area, so it kind of hits home a little bit that way. So take a look at it. As with anything, I always start with a look at the form of a piece before I look at anything else. In the form of this one, it says sonnet. When I look at it, the line count, it looks like a sonnet. Yeah, it doesn't look like a traditional sonnet. This is, I think, from a look, looks like what I would call a Berrigan sonnet or a contemporary sonnet. So it kind of contains the 14 lines, but gets rid of the meter and rhyme scheme. And just looking at the end of the words, keyboard sing and pews fill on. Okay, it doesn't have the traditional rhyme scheme of English, Italian, or even a Spenserian sonnet. And if I look at the syllable count, the syllable counts, I can tell without even having to count it that it is variation between lines, but I can count it like Father Flager sits at the piano keyboard. Okay, so there's already more than 10 syllables in that one, which is okay. It just means it's a contemporary sonnet, so I'll read it this way. Chicago Sonnet 17. Father Flager sits at the piano keyboard and fingers the diminished seventh. So Father Flager, for those not part of Chicago, might not know who this is. It's somebody who's from the area. This kind of jumps out as a well-known figure. Father Flager is an activist Catholic priest on the south side of Chicago. He's been at it for a long time and has been very important to a lot of social movements. So Father Flager, he sits at the piano, keyboard, and fingers diminished seventh. He begins to sing. It's a nice sound to this. Sits the piano, keyboard, fingers, the S's coming out of here, the Flager and fingers. He begins, Father Flager and fingers could play off something later on, but we'll get to that. He begins to sing a gospel song, so there's the S's again. So this nice kind of smooth sound to the language that's going with it. His voice diminuendo in the dimly lit church. It looks like almost as if the Father Flager is sitting by himself playing in the church and it's dimly lit, but I don't know that yet. On Sunday morning, the pews overflow. But it doesn't say this is a Sunday morning, but it says on Sunday mornings, the pews overflow. The choir sways, drums, bass, organs fill the air. But tonight, the priest is alone. Yes, what I thought was going on here. The priest is alone, just playing music in a church, all by himself, playing gospel, under the eyes of God looking down from the cross. So just sitting there, playing in church in this kind of religious space. 40 years he has served the church. A thorn even when he tried occasionally not to be, which is, part of the history of being an activist is being a thorn. Sometimes when you're not trying to be. He definitely has this history of that. Sometimes hypocrite, sometimes saint, always human. Yeah, which is, I think, very common and very much part of being somebody who's active and being involved in a community. He could only plead not guilty while the media played prurient purveyor of rumors. There's a lot of P's in there. Played, prurient purveyor of rumor. He could only plead not guilty when the media did this. There was this accusation of sexually assaulting some people, like the whole pre-scandal thing. What I know, and I don't know a lot about this is outside of my realm, is that he was not convicted and that he was not brought up as as being in the wrong on this. I don't really know the story, but I just know that he was reinstated after they'd gone through and did a search of this. His vindication relegated to the inner pages of Section 2. So the media went all crazy with the rumor, it looks like, but when he was vindicated, which is what I said, I don't really know that much about the vindication, but it was relegated to the inner pages of Section 2. So when it's not, crazy story about a very famous person in the city, it's just put on Section 2 and kind of ignored in the vindication. So when it's not, exciting gossip. This image of the Father Pfleger just playing the piano and it just being alone there with, in the church under the eyes of God and just playing, just being a human, playing, but also this kind of religious character as it is. This one feels very much, very, very Chicago to me. It picks up a very important person in Chicago's history and makes that person seem very human. So it's got a nice sound to it. I mean, I think I could see it's a Chicago Sonnet 17. I actually wonder what the rest of them are like, because this one feels like it could definitely be a series of Chicago history or even recent history pieces. D.A. Hosek, like I said, I haven't heard of this person. Let's see if it says anything in the bio note. Not a lot. It says the person lives in Oak Park, has some, publications, and that's about it. Definitely worth checking out more of this person's work, especially, I think, if you're interested in Chicago history and what's going on.